Hey, how you doing? So I wanted to have a quick conversation with you for just a second so that you could understand exactly where I'm coming from and what's going on inside this mind here to be able to put us in the place where I'm trying to create this content that I'm hoping will help you move toward happiness and move away from your pain and suffering into this more blissful state. And I want to talk to you about the path of the master. Now, note that I did not say at that moment that I am a master of anything, but I will say that I'm attempting to walk the path of the master. And there's a huge difference. Now, I see mastery as mastery of self, no matter what it is, a mastery of tennis, a mastery of crossword puzzles, a mastery of happiness. Any mastery is a mastery of self, and any mastery of self comes down to mastery of mind, because in this world, our mind is the world. Our mind creates our world. Our mind creates the ability to master absolutely anything. So if you're mastering something, you're mastering that section of your mind for that something. And in the perfect existence, you're mastering your mind, your very existence. Now, trying to exist in the place of mastery, sometimes you find yourself in this place of perfect acceptance. And it's a continual rolling from moment to moment acceptance of absolutely anything and everything. And whatever is, and including the things that could be happening to you that you would judge as positive, the things that are happening to you that you could judge as negative. That judgment doesn't even exist. It's simply an acceptance of absolutely whatever happens to you or around you or out in the world away from you that has nothing to do with you. It's an acceptance. You know, we all know that the last step of the grief process is acceptance, where everything is okay again. Well, if you're sitting in that spot of the master, you find yourself in this place of complete acceptance of whatever is at that moment, every moment of your entire life. And so you become this rock that is immovable, right? You're the rock that can't be cracked, that can't be molested, that can't be moved, that can't be chipped, that can't be picked up and thrown. You're this immovable rock, and at the same time, you're also this irresistible force. So you're both at the same time, and you're accepting of absolutely everything that exists. So there's no churning, there's no inner dialogue of things that need to be this way or that way, or I wish this would have gone the other way, or whatever it was. It doesn't occur when you're in that place. But when you're in that place, there is also, because everything's awesome, everything's perfect, there's absolutely no motivation to say even one word. And so you can sit in silence in absolute bliss. Now, the next iteration of the reality of the world, right? We go out and we do things, and we say things, and we talk to people, etc. There has to be a motivation there. There has to be an attachment that you put on. Like, for instance, I do this web page, I do the podcast, and the mobile app, and the online products, and all this stuff for people to try to move to happiness. I have to put on the attachment that I want you to be happy, or I want to help bring you to the space of being a more happy and blissful person, which will then, make you an amazing business person, amazing parent, amazing, relationship and lover, etc. That does all these awesome things to your life, because at the moment that you start to devoid yourself of the BS in your mind and the extra stuff that you don't need and the machinations, etc., you find this place of perfection more often. That kind of explains the process of why I'm not a lot more zen in front of you guys a lot more often. Because the master really sits in a place of a bliss and really doesn't talk a whole lot. And when he teaches, it comes from, this really calm, peaceful voice that can drone you to sleep. And we talk about nebulous things like the truth of everything, yada, 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 right? And it becomes a little boring at times. And it's a dancing between the blissful state of the mind being completely still, and the mind having some kind of movement that then creates the ability to speak. Okay? Now the mind, there's the process of the brain, there's this default mode network, and it's going no matter what. I mean, you can quiet a bit, and you could ignore it to a large extent, but it's still going, and you need to engage that to a certain extent to even say one word. And when you start saying a lot of words like me, it works to engage more of it, more of those ego processes, those me processes. The mastery of being on the path of a master and also being out in the world and doing the things that you need to do in the world is that you have to be able to put on those things, put on those attachments at will, and then also be practiced in taking them off whenever you need to. Whenever this train starts going off the rails a little bit, you can just totally unplug that whole section of your existence and get back to that immediately awesome, peaceful place within. And so when I'm doing that, when I'm doing all this web stuff, when I'm doing the mobile app stuff, when I'm doing the podcast stuff, when I'm showing you raw emotion at times, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to put on the world and the attachments and the frustrations and let those things go a little bit without letting them go off the leash, so to speak. So know that I'm over here, and I'm that boring guy, and I'm that really quiet, don't say a whole lot kind of dude. But in order to make it interesting, I've got to put on a little bit of the world. I've got to put on these attachments. I've got to be this a little bit of turbulent personality to convey the energy that especially the folks who are kind of in the crazy car on the roller coaster, they need to be able to identify. And you need to be able to identify with some of the emotion that can come from attachments and the struggle to reach those attachments, even if those attachments are more altruistic, of wanting to share with you more happiness, wanting to share with you more joy, wanting to show you the path of how you can get to here, be able to put on the world temporarily to do the things that you need to do, and then take off that stuff and go right back over to here into bliss and existence and keep that centered, awesome rock of a self that you have found. Because a lot of people find this and then they slide right back into this, and then they're a train wreck again forever. They remember this, they wish they could get back to this, but they don't figure out how to do that, be able to slide back into this, to be able to say the words that they need to say, do the actions that they need to do, achieve the goals that they need to achieve to feed their family or maintain their relationships or whatever, and then get back over here when they need to. So please understand that that's what I'm doing every day. And I found a quote just recently that I really identify with, and I want to share it with you because it's from an ancient master, Basui. And he said, "My true desire is to relieve others of their pain, though I myself may fall into hell." And so not that I'm going to try to allow myself to fall into hell, but I have to a little bit to say even one word. And you guys know, I say a lot of words. So imagine how many attachments I have. I have an attachment to convey to you what's going on in my mind here to even make this video, or I wouldn't have made the video, right? So I'm satisfying that attachment that I have. But at the end of the day, if I distance myself from that and I take it off and allow it to fall by the wayside, then I can slip right back into that awesome place that keeps my mind flowing freely and not cluttered by the noise, and that can empower me into focusing my existence onto the attachments that mean the most and are the most positive, and that become a conscious choice to put on and carry for a small time until we can take them off and drop them by the wayside. And so that's what this whole thing is all about. And that's why I'm not the boring master that many spiritual masters can come across as. and why I put a lot of personality into this website and into this existence and into this teaching method of incorporating neuroscience and emotion science and the ancient wisdom traditions and the place of complete acceptance all the time, everywhere, about absolutely everything. That's where I'm at, and I wanted you to understand that so that you don't miss the message. You don't say, "Oh, this guy's crazy. He says that there's inner peace and he's off the rails half the time too." Well, it's kind of an intentional off the rails for all intents and purposes, but it's for the benefit of being able to create a good message for you guys. So I hope this came across well. Frankly, I'm going to release the attachment now and just call it a video. So hope you guys are doing well. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Peace.